Hello, everybody. I know I need a shave is coming. Welcome to another version of Bill Roden on Sports. Here with my friend and co-host Jamal Murphy and Murph. So here's the deal, man. We've been doing this as a team since 2016. I
Mm.
think you said May of 2016. You found some stuff from July. So yeah, so we're like next month. I guess we'll celebrate 10 years of us doing podcasts. We still have the same 15 people. No, they say our loyal, our loyal, our loyal listeners. They've been hanging in there for
Hey
10
man,
years, a whole decade.
hey man, I think that's the true test right there.
True test.
You
We
know,
say as loyal people. So we
right?
you know, uh, yeah, but yeah, man. So 10 years, happy
Yes,
anniversary. It's
yes.
been
Happy
great.
anniversary.
10 years. So yeah, man. So a couple things to get to. I know we're going to be joined later on with Khalid Green, who was with Overtime Elite,
Hmm.
and I was going to talk about the overwhelming expense of youth sports. But speaking of youth sports, I was at the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. Speaking about youth sports, all these people talk about their dream. This is my dream. This is my dream. And so that was good. But what I wanted to ask you before we did that, since you are a Mets fan, a baseball fan, what is your take on the ABS, the automated baseball calls and strikes thing? Have you studied it? What do you think? I mean, what's I know that's not on the script for
No,
what we're going to talk about, but I'm curious to figure out what you think about it.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it was needed years and years ago, and finally baseball is has come into the new the new generation, new technology. They're finally embracing technology. It's about time. The pitching clock I think has worked. The games are much shorter. 2.5 to 3 hours. So I love what they've done with it. Um,
Okay.
so and the ABS is great. You get a certain number of challenges. I think you get two or three, and you have to get them right. I think you get two.
Right.
If you get one right, you can keep challenging, and it's great. With these terrible umpires out here missing calls, no longer can get away with it. So I love it.
Yeah. I just wonder, I guess it has to be part of the strategy because there's some guys, what about some guys who never think they strike out, and in the second inning, they challenge it. But then if you do it in the second inning when you really need it, bases loaded in the bottom of the eighth, and you've already used I mean, I wonder if that's part of the strategy where managers they have to say who can do it or who can challenge.
No, yeah, I think that is part of the strategy, and I think teams are like learning how to use it correctly. From the early statistics, they say that the catchers have the highest percentage of getting it right. When the catcher makes the call, they're like 60% right most of the time. The batter is not so great. The batter's like under 50%,
Right.
and the pitcher's even worse. So that
Oh,
just
is that
shows
right?
you,
Yeah.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
the person who has the least of the least amount of like personal the least personal part is at stake is the catcher, and they're usually right most of the time.
Right. Right.
And they're catching, and they should know the strike zone as well.
Right, right. Yeah, so I guess, there was one brother, like maybe a couple weeks ago, who just had a terrible week. Like, he
Yeah,
was overturned like 12 times or something.
he's not alone. I've been watching some baseball, and he's not alone. And a lot of these umpires are getting overturned, and you wonder like how that makes everyone talks about I wonder how it makes the umpires feel. No one ever it's not like anybody ever talks to umpires or has an article about it, but I do wonder like how
I
they
do too.
and they
Yeah.
wouldn't tell you anyway. They're not going to tell you the truth of how they feel, but
Well, because that was great. It was great for the game. But I mean, it got to be humiliating. But you're like, they've been getting away with this stuff for years.
right,
I mean, like egregious calls.
right,
And then you get thrown out the game if you argue balls and strikes.
right. No, so it's great. It's great. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So now getting to the task at hand, um, what do you think of the draft? I mean, from my perspective, it's all about the story. So the first column I wrote going into the draft was how the veneer, the something of the shadow of Shadur Sanders a year later still hovers over the draft because
Right.
everybody's still talking. A year later, they still debate he was part of a conspiracy, and we argued it like all season, about whether he should have got drafted and when he got his this, and then he finally got his first start, and now so that was my and then I don't know, then I ended up with today's column about Jeremiah Love and his press conference. He just got drafted. I want to get a gold jacket, and I want to, transform the running. I'm like, wow, really? That's a gold jacket? Yikes! So I called Warren Moon, who does have a gold jacket,
Right.
and he didn't even get drafted.
Right.
He went. He 5 days before the draft, a week. He said, I'm not dealing with this." He said probably did what Pavia should have done. He said, "I'm going to Canada." So what was your take? I mean, you're a Jets fan. What did you think of the draft? Did you watch any of it?
First, I don't know if I'm a Jets fan anymore. Let's just put that
Okay.
out there.
All right.
My only fandom left is the Mets, and you see where that's getting me.
Yeah,
But
right.
no, I mean, from what I hear, the Jets had a good draft. We'll see. What I took most from the draft is Ohio State had a hell of a team,
Right.
and I don't know how they didn't win it
How
all.
could they not win the national championship?
That's what I
they
took
should
from the
they,
draft. How the hell did Ohio State not win
right, they
the
should
college
fire the
football
guy.
championship?
In retrospect, they should go back. You know what? You're fired. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. How could we have all these guys get drafted and we don't win the Who won the national championship? Oh, Mendoza,
Indiana,
Indiana.
and they beat
And
Miami, and Miami beat Ohio State.
he said,
So
how do we lose? I saw there's one guy. I was surprised. I have to Google him. He was a great defensive back from Indiana, but I think was like a fifth round draft pick or something. I forget his name, but everybody was raving about him during the playoff run. But
right. Well, I mean, the couple things that stood out the most, I guess, for the draft was Jeremiah Love going third. Of course, running back going so high is rare nowadays.
right,
He's the highest running back pick since Saquon Barkley, who's done pretty well for himself.
yeah,
So I think that's a good sign. I thought Love definitely one of the best college players I saw last year. So I think he'll be very good. I don't know about the gold jacket thing. And then
yeah,
Ty
Tiggy,
Simpson, you know, the NFL falls for this every year. They get some, random white QB comes out of nowhere.
right,
Even though we all watched this guy, I
right,
saw Alabama play a bunch of times. He never stood out to me.
right,
So I mean, I don't know I guess these guys are experts, but we've seen how many year after year guy, Zach Wilson's, whoever, like,
right, right,
they get these guys who didn't do anything during the year, really, who didn't really stand out, and they swear to you that this guy is gonna be great.
right.
We see something. So I'll be interested. I'll be watching closely to see what he does,
What
and I
about
don't
the guy?
I don't think it'll be that much.
What about the guy from LSU? Some of these guys on Sirius Satellite Radio, my favorite guys. These guys are always, uh, you know, like I tease you and my brother for taking up for Justin Fields, and these guys are always. Who's the guy? Who's the other Chicago Bears quarterback? The white guy who was before Justin Fields. Um,
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I forget. I
uh,
forget. I'm just blanking on his name. I mean,
yeah,
he's a journeyman now, right? He's all
he's a
over the place.
jury. Yeah,
Yeah,
every time you bring up Justin Fields, this guy Pat Kerwin will bring up this
yeah,
other guy. Well, look what they did to him.
right,
So
right.
now they're on this guy from LSU, who
Mhm.
I forget his name, but uh, I should probably call the
Well, the
guy
funny
who.
thing, the funny thing is that all these quarterbacks. Remember, a year ago, they had all these predictions of who's going to be the top five
Right,
quarterbacks. It was supposed to be a strong quarterback year, and they all stunk during the
right,
year. So none of those guys came. None of those predictions came to fruition. So we already know that people don't. It's not an exact science. No, everybody's out here guessing. So we shall see. But those are I mean, the draft, and then the last thing from the draft I want to ask you, because you brought up the fact how all these guys, they have dreams of this and that, they realize their dreams, and I know you've been covering a long time, and I've been, even me, from the basketball side of things.
right,
I can think back to guys who would tell me something pre-draft, like they wanted to be the greatest or something, and they turned out to not even last in the
That
league.
didn't even last
So
three.
I wonder how much you've seen, how many times have you seen that or heard that?
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to think of it. I mean, because everybody's, it's like the draft is like everybody's high. I mean, not literally high, but everybody's getting drafted, and they just say, "Oh, I want to be," So I'm trying to think of who can I thought of who said that they want to be great, actually turned out great. You know, I don't know, maybe Saquon Barkley, but I don't. I'd have to go back to his what he said, his comments at the draft. Did he say he wants to transform the running back? The quarterback I was thinking about was Garrett
Nussmeyer, yeah, yeah.
Nussmeyer.
He would,
He was
yeah,
like the 249th overall pick of the seventh in the seventh round.
and he's one of those guys I'm talking about. That last year they said he was going to be a top 5 2026 pick, and where
Right,
did he go? Seventh
right.
round.
Seventh round to
Okay,
Kansas City. And
okay.
then, of course, my
Oh,
saying got Pat had to bring. Well, you got who's the guy that's playing in
just
front of him?
there goes Justin
Justin
Fields'
Fields.
opportunity.
Justin Fields. I mean, he could. That's going to be an easy matchup.
I don't know if it's even. I'll take Justin Fields in that one. I don't know about this guy Nussmeyer.
I,
At least
I,
Justin Fields was a top 10 pick. You know what I'm saying? Please.
but they just kill us. These guys just get this thing in their mind, in their mind. They just do not let it go.
Anyway,
Uh,
so we need to let's talk about let's get on to youth sports. Let's to true youth sports, and that's I read the other day that's a $40 billion industry
oh my
in
God!
itself. You know,
Right.
and we have a friend of the program today who's joining us, the great Khalid Green. We've been trying to get
Khalid
him on.
Green is here in
Been trying to
person.
get him on for a while, but I mean, this is one of the busiest men in show business right here. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and we
We
both have
know.
the same beard. Mine has more gray. Mine has more gray in it. Although it looks like
Basically.
you kind of trying to catch me, Khalid.
Nah, I'm really not. But I'm also not. I'm also not using paint, so I'm good.
Hey man, this
No,
is
that's
what it
thank
is.
God, thank God, no paint.
So welcome to the
Yeah.
show, man. How you
Thank you,
been?
man.
Where you been? What's going on?
Man, I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm in transition. The I was at overtime, but the academy they shut the academy down, so it left a lot of us in limbo. But
Wow, why'd they do that? Tell us about that. So what are you looking to do? But why'd they shut it down? I mean,
I think I've heard all types of things. I don't want to like point to any one thing, but I did hear that there might have been some money issues and things of that nature. But I enjoyed my time there for sure. I enjoyed the people I worked with, and more importantly, I enjoyed my time working with the parents and the kids, just seeing them grow. I just came from I was at EYBL session over the weekend here in Atlanta, so I got to see a lot of guys that I recruited play, and that brought a lot of happiness to my heart because I'm seeing their progression and seeing the trajectory of where their careers might go.
Break
so
break
so
break it break it
go
down a
ahead.
little bit for even for me because they're taking the academy's gone, but they're still. So break it down how it used to be and then how it is
Okay,
now.
so I recruited for the three teams in Atlanta,
Hmm.
which was City Reapers, Cold Hearts, and RWE, and we housed them, fed them. It was a costly budget that it took to house them and feed them and give them NIL deals and all of that. So they dissolved that portion of the business, and they're just running a affiliate led league now. So there's no longer kids that'll be housed in Atlanta. They're just having affiliate teams in the league.
Okay.
What happens to the kids who are there?
A lot of them are looking for different situations because they're like top ranked kids. A lot of them won't. It won't be hard for them to land in some good spots. I just watched Gabe Naismith. He's ranked like top 15. I brought him in last year. Um, you got Blaze Johnson, who's another top 15 kid. So of his class, 2028. So these guys are elite, and they won't have problems landing at a good situation.
Well, I mean, a situation as in going to another a college,
Oh
be
no, going to another probably academy situation. There's a few out there, like you got Montverde in the Nike League. You got Spire. You have Southeastern Prep out in Florida. So these are like
Like basketball factories,
their
basically.
basketball factories.
High school.
The traditional high school is no longer appealing to a lot of them anymore because they lack the resources that they would need to further their development.
you mean to go to high school?
Yeah,
Most
so
of these
like
kids, the best players, you're saying that level will leave high school to go to one of these academies.
correct, like they pretty much like have won state in 2 years in a row, or been the main man, and they want to also now play with better players and be put around better resources to help their games.
Right. But are they interested in going to colleges?
Yes, yeah, they're interested in going to college, but part of the reason for going to these academy schools is so they can be better prepared once they get to college. They do understand it, and their parents understand for the most part that the landscape that exists now, their competition in high school is guys that are in the college portal. So when you go into, from a high school situation to college, there's a big gap, and you want to be as ready as possible first day that you get there, because um, coaches don't have time to develop you as they used to.
Wow. Wow. So, we're talking about the expense of all this. So, how is this? How has the path? I know you wrote the book, Free Game.
Yes, sir.
Uh, how has the path changed from even when you were coming out of high school? I know Crystal McCray has done a lot of work, but how has the path changed from when you were coming out of high school to when a guy like uh,
Anthony.
Cole Anthony was coming out of high school to like now somebody coming out of high school, just in terms of the landscape, the recruiting, the possibilities.
Yeah, I think it starts at the top. Like I mentioned earlier, just the fact that there's a college portal where guys can leave right away if they don't like the situation they're in affects the high school game. College coaches are no longer. I talk to college coaches on a regular. I spoke to about two or three today, and they are no longer. Their first priority is not the high school kid. Their first priority is a seasoned kid that can help them win right away, so they can get an extension on their next contract. Simple as that. And high school kids, for the most part, can't do that now. It's a little different when you're talking about high school kids that the Caliparis can reach and Kansas can reach. Those are top 15, top 25 kids, and they're expected to come in right away and perform and produce. But for the kids that are maybe not in the top 100, it's a scarier game. Also, the infusion of social media um, is a big deal. Like it's nothing that we should ignore. Um, you know, college kids, high school kids, trying to sell themselves on by social media, and trying to get their followers up, and those followers lead to NIL money in certain situations, and also the landscape, like we mentioned earlier, of just having a bunch of academy schools that they can choose from is totally different than when I played, or even when I coached years ago at Bishop Loughlin. Like the only school that was really appealing to most kids at that time when I coached and as a varsity coach outside of the Catholic League was Oak Hill or a school like that. Now Oak Hill is not the Oak Hill of the past. Now you have Prolific Prep. You have, like I said, Montverde. You have Dynamic Prep,
IMG.
with
Oh
Jermaine
yeah.
O'Neal coaches in Texas. You have so
Mhm.
many other options that they have to choose from, and it just makes it a more competitive landscape for these kids.
Do you even let's say strictly on a basketball level, do you like that? Do you think it's better for the basketball players, or the players, is that the best system for the players to get better? Like the system we have now where they can go, like you said, it's almost like, it's almost like the AAU system, like in the summer, has like seeped into high school basketball, where you have these programs that pop up, and they're basically like, quote unquote all-star teams, because they're, like you said, they're filled with top 100 kids, right? So do you
Yes.
think that's better for the high school game, or for the high level kid?
I think it's I don't think there's a cookie cutter approach to it. Like I know the kid I coach, as you know, Jamal, Deron Rippey Jr. He ended up going to Blair Academy. He stayed there 4 years, and he had plenty of other academy schools, including mine, that wanted him to come and join, their programs. But he chose to do it in more of a traditional way at Blair Academy. So kudos to him for that.
And he's
Um,
going to Duke.
and he's going to Duke.
Mhm.
So I think there is a lane. I would never disrespect the traditional high school lane, because I used to be that, and I know the struggles that those coaches go through. Those coaches have, they end up becoming the head coach, the social worker, they become the physical trainer. They're all in one because of lack of resources. So, and there is something to a kid fighting and not knowing about all of the treasures that the academy schools have, and fighting and going through adversity and thugging it out, like Sebastian and others. That's what they did. So I do think there's not a cookie cutter approach. And but also I do understand, you know uh I tell people all the time, Whitney Houston didn't stay in the choir. She ended up, she ended up going with Clive Davis, and he put all types of new fancy speakers around her, all other resources that
Yeah.
turned her into being the phenomenal singer that she was.
That's not all he did, though.
No, that's
Yeah.
not all he did. That's a whole nother subject.
Another subject.
We're not gonna bring the Epstein files in this joint.
Oh my God, man, we immediately flipped to the dark side, just
Yeah,
like
you
that.
got to thank Jamal for that.
Thanks, Jamal. Let's
But
talk about Grable next. Why don't we go down that why don't we go down that road?
good idea. Good idea.
Right.
Oh
Uh,
man, but this is all fascinating. So if if you, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of parents, and what happens if well, two things. So what happened to Oak Hill? Are they kind of now like sort of in the ghetto? I mean, like they used to be. That used to be, the places you would go. But so do they just basically, are they shuttered, or
They,
they're just
so they still exist. They're still in the Nike Scholastic League. Um, but I don't think in this landscape they're the first choice anymore, as they used to be.
mm. So if I'm, like a mother or father, my kid is, he's going to play high school basketball. So, what happens if he's just going to stay at, Lachlan, or heaven forbid, what's the school where the Bedard King and his brother went, in the PSAL, Alexander
Oh,
Hamilton. You
Alexander
know,
Hamilton with
I
Coach
mean,
Haskins.
yeah, Alexander Hamilton. I mean, is that like almost doesn't exist? I mean, they still have teams at, like, you know,
They
boys and girls, and
they got
you know,
teams. I don't know.
they have teams. They're in that league, but they just not. They don't have the level of talent that they used to have at all.
hmm,
Right,
At
and it's
all.
it's like a situation where, and if they do have that level of talent as a freshman, or
they're
or a
getting scooped
sophomore,
up.
then they're going to these other places.
Oh,
Like,
no question. Like
you know,
as soon as they, like, for example, if they're making a name for themselves by their freshman year,
They're out of there.
um, everybody, and then once they take that high school name and it translates more importantly to the EYBL circuit or the Adidas circuit, and they can continue that level of consistency and performance, then every prep school in America or academy school will be knocking on their door. I saw all of them out here at EYBL this weekend. I'll see them all in DC in another week. I'll see them all in Adidas in another 2 weeks. So, they're outside looking for that level of talent to help their programs, you know,
And
get up.
is that new? Because I never thought about that. Like, so you think when you think EYBL, you think summer circuit, or you used to think college coaches, that's where you get recognized for college. Is it? So you're saying now you got high school coaches recruiting at these events?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was one, so I could tell you firsthand. Absolutely, I had the schedule, and we would be out there. I bump into my guy from IMG. I bump into my other guy from Mount Verdi, and we're all recruiting the same guys on a regular basis. We all kind of somehow, in a way, we're sharing some information here and there, even though we're competing, because we've already had existing relationships. Some of us are sharing information and knowing that, oh, I'm not going to get that kid, but I heard this kid might be available. So, all of those conversations are going on, and we're trying to track down parents, and then here's the other thing, Bill, that we also have to communicate with agents, because these high level kids have NIL agents, and they're trying to cut deals for their kids in high school.
And is it early? So you say like freshmen, sophomores, they have NIL agents.
Yeah, it could be as early as freshman or sophomore.
Mhm.
I tend to recommend that parents wait till probably their junior, senior year. But some parents, they have agents as early as freshman and sophomore. Yeah.
Have the parents become more ridiculous uh,
Yes, absolutely.
through all this?
Absolutely. I haven't checked in with Jamal in a minute, so I don't know how he is right now. But
I'm good.
Yeah, you know, he's getting there. Yeah.
but, but yeah, parents they I'm they we're all in this game together, and there's an excitement that comes with the parents. Obviously, they start seeing their son is or daughter is exceeding in the sport. There's a beautiful level of excitement that comes with that, and there's also some zealousness that comes with it. And it's the job of the agent. It's the job of anybody that's in that person's life to kind of help them balance these things out. But parents are going to be parents for the most
Right.
part. I haven't had any real difficulties dealing with the parents because of the fact, maybe because I'm so seasoned in this right now, and also because I just deal with truth, and you either take it or leave it alone.
Right. So what's your what would you like to do as you're doing transition? Would you like to go back to the NBA? Would you like to get in college? Where would you like to land? What aspect of this whole thing you've done that you really enjoy the most?
I love helping to mentor the kids. But I do. The NBA is the NBA. So if the NBA comes knocking on my door, I'm not gonna not answer. And college also has a role now, which is called GMs, which is pretty much what I did over here at LTE, building up three elite rosters. So I'll be open to that. But I'm open. I know how the universe works. You open to everything, and the best will come. So I'm not going to limit myself to just the NBA or college. Open to a whole lot of lanes, but obviously I enjoyed my time in the NBA, and would love to help build up a program, because a lot of these NBA teams don't know the inner workings of a lot of these kids, and they have to know in a quicker time the intel, the parent, who the parents are, who the kid is behind the scenes, not just him, not just who they are as players, but what the character is like. Is he a gym rat? And these are these are the questions that I used to ask, when I was a scout with the Brooklyn Nets, and I have the answers to a lot of these questions now because I recruited pretty much the last three classes that'll be coming up. I pretty much know all of them and know all these kids.
Mhm.
Let me ask you about NIL. Obviously, it's changed the college game completely to in the recruiting, and now it's like the highest bidder type of thing. A lot of times, it's the highest bidder is where the kids are going, not just out of the portal, but sometimes from high school. Um, is that is that what's happening in high school now with these academies? Is it the same type of blueprint?
Um, yeah, I mean, so I have been in situations where I could tell that a kid just wanted to come for the money. Like, yeah, your resources are nice and all that, but what's that bag like? That's that's what the real question that they wanted to get to. And I'm sure obviously that goes on along in college, and it obviously goes along in the NBA too.
Yeah.
Money is money. Money talks and BS walks. But uh, the the I think OTE. I think we set the market because we did offer probably more NIL money than most people in the landscape. And now that we're not in the picture doing that anymore, it probably will calm the waters down a little bit. And I guess a lot of people will be happy about that.
Mm.
A lot like who? Because that gets into the question about what has this done to the character of the kids. I mean, um, has this uh, not corrupted, but yeah, has it disintegrated? What has it done? What has it done to the character of these young people who we're supposed to be trying to reach or mold?
Well, I always say, you know, money money doesn't change you. It just illuminates who you really are. So your character is going to be your character. But to your point, Bill, um, it does sometimes, especially for kids that are young, it does give them a sense that they've already made it, and that's the scary part. And they haven't made it. As we know, that money can go as fast as you can get it, especially if you don't know how to save it or invest it. So I think you know, any situation where kids are getting a lot of money, there has to be a real financial literacy program attached to it if you really care about the kids. If you don't, then you know, a fool and the money will soon part, and that's what unfortunately happens with a lot of our kids, especially from our communities where they're not used to seeing that type of money at that rate, and then also they become the immediate breadwinners. So the dynamic shift in the household changes because now all of a sudden this kid is getting the money that mom is not getting, and now he's she's reaching through his money to pay some of the bills. So there's a whole dynamic switch that changes, um, and I think that's something that can affect the kids in an ill way.
So what does the plantation look like in 2026? I mean, in terms of like at the very top of the pyramid, who's controlling all this stuff? And we're talking about still, grappling for like, relative crumbs, getting some
Right.
money, but has the power dynamic of the plantation changed where you still have, mostly, young people, black people, you know, running and jumping and the parents and all that. Who's controlling this? Do we have any more control? We, meaning black people, do we have any more control over this than we did 20 years ago?
No, I don't think we do. To answer you very simply, no. I think what we I think we've lost more control, quite honestly, because of NIL. Because before, kids weren't getting paid as soon as they're getting paid now, and
Right.
now they're getting paid a lot sooner. Um, and once they get paid a lot sooner. Even the parents lose control, like I mentioned before.
Let me ask
Wow.
you. I mean, because we've been talking about high level, high level, high school basketball, high school players. But I know you've done everything. You've done the NBA all the way down to coaching young kids, like
Yes.
real young kids,
Yep.
right? So now, like you mentioned, I got a couple kids in the mix in the basketball
In
mix
the
in
pipeline.
the pipe in but so I'm looking at it, and I know, and I'm sure that has changed too, like the youth, the true youth sports. I'm talking about 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, stuff like that. To where I heard the other day that it's a $40 billion industry, right? A lot of these teams are charging parents like, $2,000, $3,000 to play on these so-called travel teams. What do you make? You must have seen this stuff too. Like, what do you make of how it is now? As far, and you got just, most of these kids aren't going to be that good, right?
Right.
So what's your take on that level?
I mean, so it's interesting. I see the the astronomical prices, first of all, of just getting into these events. Um, so you have directors that are, like you said, that are charging the parents, but they're only charging the parents a lot because of all the fees that come with it that they have to pay. So it's a it's a beast. Like, it's a true beast of a market right now. And I think what is driving that is the fact that everybody thinks their kid is going to be LeBron or Steph Curry or Asia Wilson, or whoever that superstar is. That's what they're chasing. They're chasing that vision, that astronomical vision of their child, and what leads to them, what fuels, or what comes with that is the the payments, the payments of, you know, I gotta pay for this hotel fee, I gotta pay for this food on the road, I have to pay for this gas. Now, we have a war going on, so the gas prices are going up. So
Right.
so you have to pay for that. You have to pay for the trainer, uh,
Hmm.
and then you have to fire the trainer because last weekend, you didn't see the results that you needed to see. So you're gonna go to this trainer now because you heard he's doing better with Johnny than. So this is what's going on, and it's all being driven by that vision that your son or daughter is going to be the next one.
But what
And,
happened?
and
But back in the day, right? Like I'm talking to a friend of mine, like being New Yorkers, right? I came up playing, and they used to, now it's like you go and we're talking about 9, 10, 11-year-old kids. They want you to travel to, Pennsylvania or New Jersey, and you end up playing against another New York team.
that's the
So I'm like,
worst.
what happened? Like, what happened to like tournaments in New York? Like, what happened to tournaments that happen in like a high school gym in New York City? Those don't exist.
Yeah, I think they exist. And to be honest with you, when I used to, when even I think I coached, uh, made hoops and all that stuff at least 3 or 4 years ago. I actually enjoyed the city tournaments more than anything because that's that's the essence of it for me. I enjoyed going up to the Bronx to play in the tournament, and the brothers on the sideline, they smoking their weed and drinking the nutcrackers. And what was funny is, that was something I was used to from when I was coming up, and the kids I was coaching that were so used to playing in AAU, that was a big deal for them. It was an element that they had never seen before because
Right.
they've been so confined to the gym and training and all that stuff. So it was good to see them in that element and playing through that, because that builds a different type of muscle for you as a competitor. But yeah, I'm with you. I used to hate being a coach, and you know I go to a tournament and in my bracket is the Gauchos. I'm like, the Gauchos, we just saw them 2 weeks ago. Why are we playing them in the bracket? So
Right.
then somebody that is a very smart or savvy director, it's up to them to get on the phone with the director, the tournament director, and say, listen, you got to change the bracket. We're not playing a New York team. We're not driving all the way out there 3-4 hours, you know, to play another New York team in the bracket. So
Right.
those are conversations that I had behind the scenes.
Right.
Phew. Damn, man. But so, well, you've answered the question, but I asked you before about the plantation, the power dynamic. So if you say we have less power than before, then where's the power located? Who's got the powers, and where's the power? If
Who's
we
making
have
the money? Who's making the money?
Well, whoever is investing the money is who's making the money, and I don't happen to know those people. I might have a little more money myself, but you know that's you know you have a lot of people. Like I just looked online today and I saw that Iona what's called Iowa United. They're big time academy school. They have a billionaire backing them. So you have billionaires that are out here spending a lot of money to do whatever they're doing with whatever agenda they have to build these facilities now and make money and get close to what they think will be elite athletes, and they might see that as an investment to do some other things with them in the future, and that's what's
Right.
going on.
so so is it possible that this thing that had been black can turn white? We've been used to having going from no black people to now this period where there's all black people, but now we're starting to see this influx, whether it's guys going to Europe and all that, and with the closing immigration to African countries, you know, is it possible that we could become so lax because we're used to, these young black kids are used to, being the dominant thing? Could this thing turn white, kind of before you know it?
Well, here's what I see what's going on, and we touched on it. The economics of it is flushing a lot of young brothers out that used to, and parents out that used to be able to roll out of bed and just get on a team. Those days are
Right,
over. The economics of it has affected the brothers in the hood that they don't get the same opportunities anymore as maybe a brother in the suburbs, and
right.
that's a real fact that's going on right now. um you know uh and the other part is there's the life skills that are needed to survive in professional sports. um if the brothers in the hood are not getting it at the age they need to get it at, they'll be flushed out anyway, because they're no longer, when you get to the NBA, because of the intel that's being shared, they're trying to eliminate all of the extracurricular activities of some of, and we know what is going on, whether it's, hanging out in the club on a regular basis or whatever it is. They're doing their best now to eliminate those type of players from getting a lot of money. So if you don't have somebody at the lower level that's teaching real life skills, etiquette, little things, and how to conduct yourself, um, it's gonna hurt, in my opinion, the brothers in the hood or the sisters in the hood more than anybody else.
Have you seen? So you have you actually seen that? Like the guys who are at the top of the game now, who are the guys who you recruit now. Is it a different type of kid or different type of parental background than it used to be?
For the most part, yeah. Like when I came up, I started coaching in the '90s. All my kids came from the projects for the most part, and I was the father figure and didn't even know it. I was in my 20s,
Right.
and I had parents, I had mothers that used to say, "Yo, go with Khalid, go with Coach Green, and you know, Coach Green, you got him." That was it. That was a conversation, they weren't coming to the games,
Right.
and they weren't around. And I bring them back in one piece, and that was it. Now, you have more parents that are invested. They travel, and you have kids that a lot of times they come from two-parent households, um, or if they don't, the parents are involved in a co-parenting situation. So I do think that the dynamics have changed drastically, um, and even how you coach the kids. Like I used to coach the kids I used to coach. They were wolves. Like you know, you could bite them. You can't bite these kids today, man. especially when they have more money than you. And that's actually changed how college coaches deal with them too.
Right,
Right.
right,
Right. No
right,
question.
right. Hey man, this shit is so far tomorrow. So you got to show up. I'm having. Man, I don't know if I sent you
Yeah, you
the.
did. I
I
think you
did.
told me about it. Yep, the 25th.
July 8th.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we
yeah,
got these are kind of sobering conversations that
yes,
we've got to have. Like my whole thing is a 20-year arc and the idea of the power dynamic. And if you're saying we have less power than before, because I guess with NIL, you've got a whole bunch of like the billionaires you talk about, who are now basically we want a white coach. This is the coach we want. This is we
right.
don't want you. We don't, so let's change the whole dynamic. Um, but I'm also wondering if you're at HBCU at the Morehouse, Jamal, if you're at HBCU, could any of this accrue to the advantage of an HBCU coach when you got more high school kids who aren't the top 150? If they're not being recruited, they say, well, hell, man, I'll go to an HBCU for a year or two where I can play Division 1, then I'll leave,
Yeah,
but at least I'll play D1 basketball and kind of play as opposed to being overlooked.
yeah. No, I think a HBCU coach like they, it's a landscape that they could definitely take advantage of if they have the right intel, they have the right people on the ground for them that know what's going on. I think that's the key. Like AI can't do it for you. You need to really have some personal relationships with people that can, get you a player that nobody knows about. And like you said, that is maybe a diamond in the rough. And next thing he's taking you to your prospective championship, your respective championship. So I think that's critical. But
But
it
will
takes
not
some.
be there, you knowing that he ain't gonna be there
Yeah,
any
yeah,
longer.
correct.
And really, that's every level, right? Like even if you go to
Yeah,
Duke, you there 1 year, you blow up, you gone, right? So, and
no
in the mid
question.
major, you blow up, you go into the high major. You low major, you blow up, you go. Like that's the game now.
Yeah, that's the game. So like college coaches are now entering the AAU game. That's the AAU game. The AAU game is. I was just telling somebody today, yesterday. I said, here's how AAU works. The first session of EYBL was this weekend. I said the free agent portal for AAU starts on Sunday because for the kids that didn't play that much, the
Right.
team went 1-2. The
Uh,
team could have went 3-0, but the kid didn't play, get the ball in his hand like he was promised. Parents are on the phone, look, working the phone, thinking about the next situation, and that's what goes on in college right now as
Right.
we speak.
Right.
And we've been dealing with that in AAU for years.
right, right. What does EYBL stand for?
Elite Youth Basketball League. That's the Nike league. 3SSB is the Adidas league. And they had their first session this weekend as well in California.
And what's Adidas called?
3SSB.
So you kind of answered the question. Adidas, Nike is not run by black people. Adidas is not run by black people. I mean, you probably have middle people there. So ultimately, if it's Nike, Adidas, and they're at the top of the pyramid, they're the ones who are controlling the plantation,
Oh, no
right?
question. Yeah, they a lot of what goes on, even in the NBA, as we know, they have a lot to do with it. Or USA basketball and Jalen Brown, and there's been some rumors why he didn't make that team. Like there's a lot of politics in this game, and anybody that says it's not is a liar.
So what we have to do in this phase we're in is get deeper into the weeds. In other words, at every level, you have to examine this thing of power and control. And why are we always, and I guess what you're saying though too is that if you have more people making money at a younger age, they're likely to say, fuck it. I just want to get the money and I want to be part of the system. I ain't trying to change it. I just want to be part of it. So whatever we're talking about, this consciousness is basically my highest value is not culture or my brother. My highest value is the money, and all this. You talk about the projects and all that. I ain't worried about that.
Right.
So I don't know. This is really it's fascinating as usual, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man. I hope let us know your next stage. Maybe you go back to the NBA, the Brooklyn. I think you were on our very first. Remember our very first podcast,
Yeah.
and you made the New York Post.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I forgot what it was, and we were even
Y'all
going to
owe me
remember.
money
I won't bring
y'all
it
owe me
back.
money for that viewership, man.
That was perfect. I was the New York Post. Who's listening to this?
We didn't even know. We didn't even know.
Right.
All right, man. Hey, well, listen, man. Best of luck. And
Okay.
do you think we'll see you back in New York, or you kind of done with New York?
Nah. I'll be back. Brooklyn's always my home, man. I'll be there. I'll be up there.
And Brooklyn's changing too, right? It's
Yes, it is.
just like high school age.
No doubt.
Well,
No
I mean, do they
doubt.
still have things like remember back in the day, Soul in the Hole and all that kind of stuff? Is that still?
They do have. I don't think they have Soul in the Hole anymore, but they do have some other tournaments that are similar. Like Zone, my boy Ross Slime, he runs Zone 6, and I think Anton still has Conrad McCrae. So you still you have Gersh and the New York tournament. So
Hmm.
they have a lot of good tournaments going on in the summer.
Will these be outside or will
Yeah,
they be?
Yeah,
those are all
They're
outside.
still
outside.
outside.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, let me know, man. I got some of the fellows, the rodent fellows, who are going to be spending the summer in uh, in Bristol, but they're going to be
Okay.
coming down to New York. I would love to have some of them come to some of these tournaments.
Okay, we can all
Because you
link
talk
up.
about
That'll be fun.
it'll be a
For
wake
sure.
up call. It'll be like,
Yeah.
what? The fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely the New York. That's an easy
Yeah.
one right
Yeah.
there.
They would love that for sure.
All right. All right. Hey, Khalid, man, thank you so much, man.
Man,
This has
thank
been
y'all, man.
great.
Thanks for having me. Peace, brothers.
Yeah, I'll
All
be in
right.
touch.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah. Man, it's all very sobering stuff, man. So
Yep.
great, Khalid Green. Well, that's
Yeah.
demoralizing.
Yeah, it's serious out there. I mean, we talked about it, like even you're involved in it because you have a free program, and that's like gold nowadays.
Well, I should have asked Khalid. That's why I was saying that. What can we do as an anecdote to that? I mean, we're still doing 8 to 10, and
Right.
our whole things have a program. So eventually, you're gonna have to pay, but at least from 8 to 10, if we can do something where you can just come and play and just
Because
get your skills together.
even that's rare now. 8 to 10, most parents are paying. Period.
Yeah,
So the fact that if you can find a free program, I think that's where it's at. Because the rest of it it's a joke. They're just trying to, to milk you. Period.
yeah, yeah. We had like our volleyball program has really taken off, and a couple of parents were saying, "Yeah, we come here to play free, but they want me to pay like $500, per kid. I can't do
Right,
that
and then
now."
not just that. So I went to. I'm actually my Kareem actually plays for a free program, EEP. It's sponsored by a law firm. But so we had no, yeah, we had a game in New Jersey a couple weeks ago. This is for 11 under. Get there, so about an hour and a half away. Get there, and the kid the kid. You sign the kid in, and then they tell the parent, okay, it's $35 for the day to watch, $50 for the
To
weekend
watch.
to watch,
What?
just to go in there and watch your kid play. They are charging parents $50. And I had seen these videos. I thought it was a joke, like these AAU videos where the parents like, "What? You charging me? What?" It's true. You get there, $50. I'm like, it's extortion. What am I gonna do? I just drove by. Of course they know you have to pay it. You have to stay.
Wow.
And these are young
Wow.
kids. I can see if it were like high school kids, you might leave. You
Right.
might, whatever. You know,
Right.
it's
You can't leave them.
a 10, 11-year-old. You're not gonna stay and watch. Like, come on, it's extortion.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know, man. This is really what a racket, man.
It's a racket. It's a racket.
But see, they're relying on good, solid, middle and upper middle class people like you to support the industry.
They really are. They really are. They really are.
All right, man. Do you have anything else? That was, I guess there's more, but that's enough for everybody to chew on. Just you sports. I mean, by the time they get to the NFL and the NBA and that level, the draft, everything that you've done to get you to that point is pretty unbelievable. The shit that you had to do to get to that point.
Right. So I guess you could say they're more prepared than ever, Bill, for the NBA.
Yeah, because they've been doing since they were like 10.
Right. Right.
But what we have to investigate is the whole idea of the hood or the projects being kind of phased out of this whole thing.
They have to be. They have to be because I guess there are situations where if your kid is really good, you might not have to pay. There's still that situation where a team or director might take on a kid because he's so good and not.
Yeah, but you got to be great.
But you got to be good. So what about the kids that need to develop? What about the kids who don't have money who need to develop? It's not going to happen.
Come to intercession and play for free.
Exactly.
Brother. Or go across the street to play at a playground or something,
Which less kids do nowadays. Now you have PlayStations and iPads and tablets. It's a weird time.
All right. Okay. Well, we got the playoffs coming up.
Yeah, got the playoffs coming up. We gave you the youth sports rundown, which is, I think, it's educational. I think everybody should know what's going on that level,
and
especially if you have kids.
Yeah, you should know. The parents should know. Read Khalid Green's book.
Yes,
Free Game. Game. Can I give you a little primer to the stuff that we've been talking about? So. All right. Do you have any? What are we supposed to? You got any promotions or anything you're supposed to?
Yeah. Before we get out of here, of course, thanks to the listeners for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, like and share and subscribe. Follow us on social media @BrosPod on Twitter, @BrosPod on Instagram, Bill Roden on Sports on Facebook. Interact with us, all that good stuff, and that was a fascinating youth sports discussion. Like you said, we got NBAs going on now. I guess we'll talk about that next week. We'll get into that. It's the first round, Bill. I know. You don't get into it until what, the Eastern Conference Finals?
Around that point. Around. Yeah.
Maybe the Knicks will make that. They've been a little shaky. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's the story. I'm looking at the Knicks Celtics. If the Knicks could escape Atlanta, which is not a guarantee, they play tonight, don't they?
Tomorrow, Knicks Atlanta tomorrow.
Detroit
plays Orlando tonight. They're trying to stay in the series as the 1 seed in the East. You got OKC just killing everybody. They play Phoenix, trying to close that series out. And I think Minnesota Denver tonight.
Oh, but you got both their stars out, right?
Yeah.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man is out. Ant-Man is out.
Why you have?
What about Kevin Durant? He's been out. What's he doing?
He's collecting money.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say, man? He's had a great career.
But LeBron, 41, still balling.
He's still balling. Well, he's a different breed. LeBron is a different breed. He's a throwback.
Yeah, he is.
He's a throwback. And I guess, when you have your son playing, he's still a living legacy for
Right.
your son. You don't want your son seeing you be a slacker. You
No.
know, you seeing if you're Bronny and you look at your dad still like balling.
Isn't it crazy though? I was thinking about this the other. Isn't it crazy? You're 41. You're a 41-year-old dad, and you're still more athletic than your 20-something-year-old
Then your
son.
twin son. I know. That's pretty amazing. Both of them.
Right. Both combined. Combined.
I know. That's pretty amazing. We probably will never see that again.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen. Good luck on the youth sports trail with your son is doing.
The
What
key,
what
the
are they?
key, the key is finding a free program or the closest thing to it. That's my advice.
That's right. Well, come to intercession Saturday mornings. We're gonna start up youth. Well, I was youth soccer next year. But all right, man. Well, listen. Uh, thanks for getting Khalid on the phone. I was very sobering,
Mhm.
and we will be back next week, and we'll talk NBA playoffs and whatever else. Maybe whatever else scandals come along.
Something will come up. There's no question about that.
All right, everybody. Continue to pray. Stay away from those press course dinners.
Good
No
advice.
say.
Good advice, Bill. Good advice.
All right. All right. See you guys later. Pray.